I'm Matt.
I'm Shane, and you are about to listen to an excerpt from a Comic Movie Marks podcast.
So if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that like button real hard, and make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks. And always remember,
if Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it. Woo! What the hell was that look?
I took a big gulp of my coffee, and then I look over at it to see if Audacity actually took it in, but it did not. So you won't have to edit that out.
Oh, yay. No, I'll leave it in. I don't care. You swallowing is always a funny noise. Anyway, so the marks are back. We're going to give our list of the top movies in 2017, comic book movies.
Well, basically, we're going to rank the comic book movies from 2017.
7 that came out.
Yes.
There we go. That's a better way to put it. It's just our guest, who is on the other line, kind of missed a couple movies. Not the important ones, though. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Just Wonder Woman and Lego Batman.
And Justice League. He didn't see that one. He missed Logan. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, the best movie was obviously Baywatch.
Hey, that's a fucking great movie. It was hilarious. Funnier than fucking my number 7. Anyway. So
why are you fucking your number 7? That doesn't sound very safe.
Yes, it does.
Fucking a 7? Well, that's pretty safe.
Yeah, you got to stop her if you flip it upside down. Presumably, unless you're very skillful and very extreme.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so we're going to rank that. Unfortunately, our guest, Nick, as you heard him on the other line talking about fucking 7s, he's only seen 5 out of the 7 comic book movies we got in 2017, so he's going to be quiet on the other end like a good boy.
Who's your good boy?
All of a sudden, Nick's puppy.
It's like, and we also have our other guests that have been on this show. We have their top 7 as well, so they will be peppered in throughout this podcast or throughout this list.
Yes, exactly. It won't be their audio though, because we're not that skillful to just insert my number 7. So I'm just gonna read them off.
Yeah. So Shane's gonna sound like them. So you gotta get your best British, best New York, and then best dumbass.
Well, no, I'm already on this podcast.
Yeah. Fucking stop laughing. All right, stop it.
Retard. Stop laughing.
God damn.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
that guy.
Okay. So, we're going to start it off with Shane here, and he's going to give out some of the rankings that our other guests have given for their number 7 comic book movie of 2017.
All right, we will start with Tim from England. His number 7 was...
Hip, hip.
Yep, hip, hip, cheerio.
Hey, Governor.
I'm not going to try to do it because last time I totally butchered the English accent. So
you do that anyway.
Only minorly offensive.
The American accent. So Tim's number 7 of 2017 was Thor Ragnarok. And then we move on to Mike. He's from California, somewhere in California. His number 7 is by default Thor Ragnarok because it's the only one out of the 7 that he did not see. So it makes sense why it would be number 7. Pato Mike Bob from New York, his number 7 is Lego Batman, and he basically said he doesn't really remember much of it. So that was his number 7.
So it's forgettable. So that's why it's number 7.
Yep, exactly. So then my number 7.
Ooh.
Yes. Surprise, surprise, is going to be Thor Ragnarok. What? I'm sensing a theme here.
And then my number 7 is
Justice League.
That's Thor Ragnarok. So I guess we can kind of throw out just a couple thoughts on Thor Ragnarok. There's a reason why for me and for Shane it's number 7. I was a little surprised on Tim that he actually said it was his number 7. I thought maybe he would gravitate to it a little bit better. Battle Mike Bob, he did Lego Batman. Because he's forgot about it.
Yeah, doesn't really remember much. But I mean, it is kind of the same vein of Ragnarok, right? A spoof movie. It's not really the end of anything.
Yeah, no one really cares. And by the way, this is spoilers on everything.
Oh yeah.
I just want to make sure because Shane just likes blurting out that Asgard is blown up.
No, it is.
But if you listen to our Thor review, I think we lay it down pretty good. What the problems we had with the movie and how the movie treated its source material. Whatever. I mean, in the end, every comic book movie kind of bastardizes the source material, but this one took it to a whole new extreme.
Yeah.
And I personally did. I know some people can still find it funny and may not like what they did, but you can still enjoy it or it's fun per
Right.
se. But for me, I like what I think we agreed upon. Maybe 70% of the jokes didn't land.
Yeah.
Maybe 30% actually were kind of funny.
Mhm.
And the ones that I did laugh at, though, like I said in our review, I did laugh pretty well at. So
Yeah, well, and we both ranked Hella pretty high. She was in our.
That was just because I was drunk.
We did. Yeah, might as well have been. We did our best villains, not just comic book movie villains, but our best villains of 2017 as well. You know, it's kind of the theme of the beginning of this year, and we ranked Hella pretty high. She was a good part of that movie, but when you put it with ranking the rest of the movies that came out last year that were comic book related, it's kind of, you know, it's Doctor Strange of 2017.
yeah, the November to Remember was not very memorable.
No,
I was
not
gonna say
at all.
rememberable.
It's not that either.
It's not rememberable at all.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to our number 6. I know, I presume that Nick's Thor Ragnarok is probably number 5. So when we get to number 5, we'll talk about it.
Then
You're so
he
close,
gets
but
it.
you're so wrong.
All right, so starting off again with Tim, his number 6 is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Then
Man.
Mike, his what'd you say, Nick?
I said, man, you guys are brutal.
These are
We'll
just
get
all,
there, we'll get
all,
there.
all of our guests, yes. So Mike, his actually is Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as well.
Oh, shit.
Yep. And then Battle Mike Bob from all the way from New York, his number 6 is Justice League. Matt, did you have a chance to talk to Battle Bob about Justice League at all?
Yeah.
Do you have
Well,
any of his insight?
He let's just say he didn't say anything positive about it.
Okay.
He said he literally almost fell asleep through it. And I'm like, it's a 2-hour movie. Like, you struggled to stay away through a 2-hour movie. Like, it was already shortened up. But
Yeah.
he just said the characters were awful. The CGI was awful. And he just felt the story was so generic
Mhm.
that it didn't warrant him to even pay attention.
Yep.
So that was kind of the gist of
That's
his.
fair.
That
Yeah.
was kind of the gist
I
of
agree.
his problems with it. And when he said he could barely stay awake through it, it felt like it was a waste of his movie pass.
I
Yes.
would agree with that.
That is only $10 a month.
That's only $10 a month. I keep seeing, I don't know why, but this is funny. I already sent this to him once, but right after we did that podcast where we plugged fucking Movie Pass like crazy, then I get I think I sent this to you, but then there's like an article that pops up on my phone.
Yeah, you did.
Movie Pass reaches 1 million subscribers.
Yeah, it's like, oh, because of us.
And I sent that to him, and now I just got another posting saying Movie Pass is already up to 1.5 million subscribers.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, God damn, we should be sponsored by
I
Movie
know.
Pass. We just fed them 500,000 fucking people, and we only get 100 downloads.
Yes,
It's amazing.
exactly. Yes.
Word of mouth is
is amazing. It's an amazing thing.
Your network is so strong and so amazing that you're able to get that many people based on only that many downloads.
yes.
I'm
That's
gonna
how crazy it is.
send them a very well written to Trailer Trash caliber email asking if they want to be
Play
a
banjos in the
sponsor
background.
of an email.
We
So-
got good movie stuff, and we'd like to get all them good free stuff. So please give it to us before we, kiss our cousins.
we only have 100 listens on our audio podcast, but
And we have 8 teeth between us.
I only got boy cousins, so that's gonna be creepy.
Hey, we're not one to judge. It's okay.
They're pretty ugly, actually. Judge
So
away.
they're sevens, right?
so there's sevens.
Yes, they ranked number 7 on this, this list.
Top 7 cousins.
Oh, but that was basically the gist of Bob's issues with Justice League.
All right, fair enough. Just curious. So my number 6 actually is going to be Lego Batman. Again, it's a fun, kind of spoof movie. It has some entertaining parts, some good callbacks to all sorts of Batman stuff, which was pretty cool. But when you compare it to the rest of what came out last year, that's going to be my number 6.
Okay. My number 6 is Justice League.
Woo!
If this
You're cheering Justice League failing?
No, I'm cheering someone having rationality.
Whoa.
If this was the most, no, see, I just want to rank it up
Shots
to like number
fired.
2 now. Like, I'm not rational. Don't you dare say that.
Take that! I'm gonna poop in my pants and throw it on the walls.
Whee! Well, the walls are brown here.
So
Anyway.
it's just called painting.
Seriously, I have painting issues. Anyway, the thing with Justice League, if this was like our most disappointing movies of 2017,
That'd be
Justice
number
League would be
one.
number 1.
Yeah.
And that's honestly kind of how it falls for me. It's even if it was its own movie with no universe backing behind it, just say it was a independent movie, like we were going to get with like Justice League Morals, which is going to be a random hodgepodge of actors that no one knew about, that we just didn't have any previous universe stuff. It still would be a super generic, super underperforming movie to me.
Mm-hmm.
It still doesn't meet any standards, especially compared to what some of the movies we got this year, where at least they stood out in some manner and exceeded some expectations I had. Yes, I went into Justice League with very high expectations because I had expectations for this universe. Shane and I spent so much of our time on YouTube and this podcast defending the DCEU. That's what we're going to call it from now on. No more DCEU bullshit because it's the DCU. We defended it saying that there is a vision, there is a point to this. And then WB pretty much crapped all over those people. Everybody that was backing their system, backing those type of movies, backing Snyder, they totally shit all over him. They gave up and they tried to go the Avengers route, and they couldn't even come close to making Avenger caliber movie with that.
No.
Not even close. Avengers is way better than Justice League.
Can we just take that little quote right there and just use it as like part of your intro and just have repeat that again and again and again?
You had best unfuck yourself or I will unscrew your head and shut down your neck!
Wow.
Wow, Nick.
Isn't the line of you saying, "Don't you guys like smiles?" or whatever the hell the line is? Isn't that good enough?
I think that's a good one too.
Because we don't like smiles. And I did not smile through Justice League.
Yes.
No, I did.
Yeah, us retards cannot laugh. By the way.
Yeah, we're not allowed to laugh.
So
Shut up,
sorry.
Shane.
Sorry.
No more
Excuse
laughing.
me.
But ultimately, that was my big issue with Justice League, and it's really not a good movie. If you really look at it, I know it's the Justice League coming together for the first time ever on the big screen. We're seeing characters that we never thought we would see together on the big screen. It is a culmination of the past movies we got in a universe leading up to this like end of phase 1, if you want to call it, if you want to use the Marvel terminology. It's the end of the phase 1, and it was a complete flop. It did not meet its expectations. If we would have gotten the Snyder Cut, I don't know. Everybody's like, why are you just assuming the Snyder Cut would be better? Well, at least I feel with the Snyder Cut, it would have followed the universe.
Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't have gotten the high rankings it does on Rotten Tomatoes with fans.
Or
Maybe
maybe
it would have
not.
gotten lower. Maybe the critics
I don't
score
really
would
care,
have,
though.
but it would have been lower. But at least then the movie would have made sense because it would have followed that same linear line, not linear, but the universe line that was being towed. All that culmination of events would have actually made sense now in at least the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
That's what I think we would have gotten. And that would have made it at least a cohesive movie in the universe.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, you know that Zack Snyder is a big comic book reader. He makes the movies. He said it in several interviews. He makes the movies that he would like to see, right or wrong. But you know that there would have been portions of the resurrection of Superman incorporated a little bit better. There would have been things, maybe from some Justice League storylines or something. Different references that he did in Batman v Superman that, little nuances that people caught and were like, it just, added to the movie itself. But instead we ended up with very generic, poor dialogue.
Poor execution.
Poor execution. The resurrection wasn't all that great. Even the resurrection scene that's probably everyone's favorite scene of that entire movie.
The fight, anyway.
Yeah, the fight still had some Joss Whedon stuff thrown in there, and you got the "Tell me, do you bleed?" and that whole thing, and the horrible CGI. And there's so many. There were some cool references in the movie, but in regards to the old Christopher Reeve stuff, him in his plaid coat. But for the most part, it just there's so many things, and it's funny now to see after everyone has seen the movie, or most people have seen the movie, and now all over Twitter and Instagram, and you're getting a lot of expectation, and it's one of the Photoshop images that people were coming out with of like, oh yeah, this would be cool with Superman with a beard or black suit Superman, and it's all these Photoshop things, and then reality, and it's the terrible CGI lip. And that's so funny, and that's so true to this film itself, because you have all these expectations. I think a lot of people did, and that's what left a lot of the Snyder fanboys, for lack of a better term, disappointed, because you walk out and you're like, man, we didn't get any of that. We got a very generic film. And so at the end of the day, I get it.
It's a polarizing universe, whether you think it's lame or stupid or good or bad, however you look at it. But I mean, there's people down in LA protesting, holding up, standing outside WB Studios with a sign saying "Release the Snyder Cut."
Yeah, dressed up as the Justice League.
And I'm like, you could think that's pathetic, in kind of some sense, a little bit is. Like, get a fucking job, for God's sakes.
Those are my people.
Yeah, the jobless ones keep us strong. They can keep pushing the message, but at the same time, it's like, holy shit, like, when have you ever heard that before? That ever happening? Like, I don't know if that's a bad thing on our society, that people are that invested into a movie. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm kind of like 50-50 on that, whether or not it's good or bad. But that's crazy to me, that even if it is only like 15 people and shit, it's still people that went down to LA, held up a sign, released the Snyder Cut. The petition is like over 160,000 people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like ultimately when it came to Batman versus Superman, in some sense, I think the vocal minority won out.
Yes.
And scared WB.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe we don't know. We don't know who ultimately, where Batman vs. Superman Ultimate Cut landed with people for the most part. We know Nick thinks it's a 1.
Yeah.
Which is, that's what it is.
We do know a lot of people on Twitter apologize for like running Zack Snyder's name through the mud, and then once that movie came out, his actual vision, they're like, oh shit. A ton of people think the Watchmen director's cut is better than the original version as well. So there's a theme, with his movies and that studio, unfortunately, and it's sad. Like I feel so bad for someone. I'm not gonna say he's an artist or whatever, but to an extent, he has a very visual director who has
he has an
things in mind
on his movies.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Whether it's good or bad to some people,
yes,
he has an imprint on his movies. You can tell, like, hey, that's a Snyder movie,
right?
Yeah,
absolutely. And for him to have this vision of the Justice League, the DC universe, he had a vision that I think partly was WB telling him, Batman v Superman, this has to catapult the universe. This is where we want to go. And him going, okay, I'll do the best I can, and doing a pretty damn good job. And then at the end of the day, they're like, never mind. We don't want that. We know we told you to do this, but we don't want that. And I feel for him. His entire vision, his creation, at the end of the day, it doesn't even, you don't get anything. Like that sucks. So.
And what I will say is, like, I actually think Zack Snyder can be a very good director. I'm glad, Shane, you brought up Watchmen. Like, I love Watchmen. I love 300, even though it's super over the top and fantastic. I even liked, to a degree, Sucker Punch. I think that at the very least, Zack Snyder has a style, and when that style is allowed to be allowed, it's like when he's able to actually express it, I think that at least he makes a more interesting film. And I think that was, when we get to number 5, we'll talk some more about what I think about Justice League. And I think that's part of the problem with Justice League, is it just kind of gets kind of boring and, just underwhelming, I guess would be the best way to describe it.
All right, well, Nick, just go right into your number 5 then.
Yeah. So my number 5, because I just have the top 5 because I'm a terrible person. I didn't see Wonder Woman or I didn't see Wonder Woman or Lego Batman, and they're on the list. I assure you, I want to see them.
Terrible person, just working your ass off, saving lives and stuff. But you asshole, you better watch Lego Batman.
Yeah, absolutely. My number 5 is Justice League. It's just, I felt like, of the films that I saw this year that were, comic book films, that was the one that I felt I actually thought was a bad film. Like every other film, I think had its ups and downs, things like that. But Justice League, I think, was the only one that I saw this year that I genuinely thought like that's not a good film. I have to agree with you guys. It felt very boring. It felt very underwhelming. I agree with you. I think that the resurrection scene was really cool. I know we talked at length about the CGI. Everything felt very underdeveloped and kind of watered down when it came to, the movies that we saw this year that were comic movies. I do think that Justice League, this was supposed to be a big event. This was supposed to be the time that we finally get to see all the Justice League come together and do something.
Right now.
Yeah, exactly. Over me.
Yeah, the trailers were actually better than the movie.
Yeah, actually, I remember the first time I saw the Justice League trailer in the theater. Because I saw it on I saw it on my computer, and I was like, okay, that's okay. But when I saw it in the theater, I was like, you know what, that actually looks kind of cool. Like, I was like, that's actually pretty cool looking. And then when I saw it, I'm like, oh, never mind.
Psych.
JK. Justice League was just very underdeveloped for me. Underwhelming, underperforming. It just felt very much like it was the culmination of us being able to see something on screen that we had never seen before, and it fell flat. Fell flat for me. So yeah, that's my number 5.
All right. So we're going to jump into Tim's number 5 is Lego Batman. So let it be known that he put Lego Batman above Guardians and Thor. Mike's number 5 is Spider-Man Homecoming. Battle Bob's number 5 is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And then on to my number 5. I agree with Battle Bob. My number 5 is Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as well.
Well, looky. My number 5 is Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as well.
All right.
We are running unanimous. But Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought overall, I liked it to an extent. I actually felt that this had better character development in it than the first one. And I liked the character development in this one. I like how it furthered the characters a little bit better. I did not like what they ultimately did with Drax, because I loved Drax from the first one. He was my favorite one from the first one, and his inability to accept or understand metaphors, I thought was hilarious, and I thought that's what made him funny. Is that he was very serious and very kind of stoic at the same time, and just didn't have a good way with words. But in this one, they kind of just made him a big belly laugher and like a prankster, and yeah, he still had that unfiltered talk or unfiltered type of speaking when he was like telling Mantis that you're ugly or something like that and all that stuff. I guess he kind of still did, but I thought they totally abandoned what his character was before, and they kind of just made him more of a big knucklehead that just did stupid things and jumping inside of a monster to kill it from the inside. And whatever the hell it was and stuff.
Well put, a big knucklehead. Yeah, I agree. I feel like they were trying to add another layer to him, and it didn't really pan out like it should have. There were definitely some, as you said, the character development in this was better than the first one, and there were some good positive moments. There was some humor that I enjoyed. I think largely because going into Guardians of the Galaxy, you're expecting that type of humor. But we were with Ragnarok. There were certain things that just didn't work.
Well, Ragnarok repeated these same jokes over and over again. And when I looked at you and said that if they tase him one more fucking time, I'm walking out.
Yeah,
like that was, and Guardians of the Galaxy. I was dead serious because that was just driving me nuts. But with Guardians of the Galaxy, they did something very similar as well. They repeated a lot of jokes. I mean, how long did we have to watch their faces get deformed by jumping 700 boom tubes or whatever the fuck it was? Or Baby Groot.
Baby Groot grabbing the different keys. He was looking for keys, right?
No, he was looking for the fin.
Oh, the fin. Yeah.
For
Yep, that's
Yondu.
right. Yeah, that's right.
And he was grabbing underwear.
He keeps coming back, right.
We will never speak of this again.
And I get that there's people out there that don't mind that type of style, because before, and I've talked about this before, in comedy it was always that kind of like, you don't overkill the joke because then you ruin it and you lose the audience and so forth. But now I've seen a lot of comedians and comedy in general have been actually utilizing that to make the joke funny, to keep pushing it and pushing it, because you think, oh, it's going to stop. And then they keep going and going, and then eventually it kind of restarts back up again. And you can, I guess some people can like that. I don't. I really don't. I hate that overkill on the joke. So I understand that is a form of comedy now. But for me personally, I don't like it. So Guardians of the Galaxy did it. Thor Ragnarok did it to a terrible degree that I just could not believe. Like, it was just the writing, and I don't know why I'm going back on Thor Ragnarok, but the writing and everything
Because it's your number 7.
in Thor was just so bad. I just don't understand how nobody else ever brought that up about how terrible the writing was in general on Thor, but whatever. I guess that's just me.
The writing as in
Like
dialogue,
the dialogue and
yeah.
stuff. Like, I even brought it up with that stupid fucking thing over his face. Because she's
Right.
like, why is he wearing? Because he's wearing a towel over his head. And she's like, why are you wearing that? It's my disguise. But I can still see your face. Not if I do this. And he pulls it over his face. And I was like, fucking, oh my God. How fucking great that was. I hope that guy got paid well for that fucking
Oh, I'm
joke.
sure he did, and
Yeah.
and we're jealous.
Yeah, and we're in a little bedroom with a $5 mic and shit. And
Yeah, exactly. We are in the wrong business.
Yep.
We don't even make anything yet.
Dun dun dun. No, YouTube still won't accept our shit. They're still pending on that thing. It's like
Stupid
3
content
weeks.
ID.
Yeah,
Maybe
I guess so.
I don't know, but like it says usually it would take within a week, and it's like been like 3 weeks.
It's because we laugh like a bunch of retards. Apparently,
Yep, we're retarded.
according to
laughers.
Marvel is for kids.
Yeah, that guy's not a troll.
Not at all.
Congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. You're one of very few to make it to the end.
Yes, thank you very much.
Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Comic Movie Marks Podcast and hit the notification bell. You know, all these fucking YouTube channels say this shit, so I'm going to say it now.
Yes, it's perfect. And if you want to hear our full podcast, you can check out our podcast on iTunes or any other podcast subscription service.
Make sure you subscribe. Thanks again.
Yo!